All right. Austin, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm very excited. Please, how's your night going?
It's going good, guys. Thanks for having me on. I've just been busy building. It's like that's all I ever do. So,
Austin, how did you get into wanting to build devices for the field? Was there
that's
like
all.
something that happened that you reached out, maybe a spirit came to you or something? You're like, wait a minute, let's create something that we can maybe converse with them.
No, actually, it was. I guess I saw. I don't know if anybody knows who Andrew Openlander is. He was a Chicago Spare Wave. He was a guy who built a specific kind of ghost box back in the day. And one at some point in like 2015 or 2016, I saw that box, and like I kind of fell in love with the idea of it, and so I really started diving into ITC, and I made a lot of the right people. I made a lot of friends that, especially the right friends that knew about all of it, and then eventually I started getting close to, some of my closest friends are some of the best builders in the field, J.W. Prather, Katie Stafford, Stephen Katie Halte, among others, of course. But these guys, for a long time, I guess I had been bugging them about doing something like building a specific thing that I wanted to do. I was like, man, can we do that? Can you try to build it? And they, I guess, got annoyed enough with me that they told me, here, I'll show you how to build. You do it. And so, like, Steve Halte taught me how to do my first sweep circuit. Like, he taught me how to build his. And then it just kind of took off from there. I remember KD bought me my first soldering station and my first multimeter. So like these guys really supported me, like trying to push me to do it. And so now I'm doing it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I love it.
Yes, yes. I've been following you for quite some time, and I see you building different things all the time. In fact, half the time I'm like, oh my God, I want one of those. Yeah, I'll just get a collection going.
Yes.
So
He wants everything he sees.
I know. So now, when you started this whole thing, did you think it was going to get how it is now? Did you think it would be as big? I mean, like ITC work is, we know it's experimental, and I love ITC work. I do scrying as well, and that's part of that envelope as well. But yes,
Yeah.
I'm just curious on, like, did you see this field really in a need for these devices?
I would say I saw the need for advancement more than I saw the need for the devices. And what I mean by that is that, like, when I came into the ITC community, I like the builders, the relationship between builders, I guess, was just kind of a big mess. Am I allowed to curse on here?
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
I do it all the time.
Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure, because when I start getting going, sometimes I let it slip. But so like when I came in, builders were really weary of each other. They didn't communicate. It was all kind of a competition, and a lot of that stemmed from things that Steve Huff did to a lot of the people in the field. And it became about money. It became about people stealing ideas and stuff. So it was just a mess, and so I kind of made it my mission to help clean it up, I guess, like, repair some of the relationships, try to encourage builders to really start communicating more, and just at least be on speaking terms. It's not about a competition, because there's enough people in the field that will be interested in the devices, but we got to be able to push forward. We got to start moving past what we've been doing
And progress.
and like I think everybody kind of jumped onto the idea of that, and like I know I haven't done like everything in regards to like I think I just had a big impact on bringing ITC kind of to the forefront. And I think that I felt like there was a big need for bringing ghost boxes to the forefront, make them more mainstream, make ITC more mainstream, because my idea is that if the more people that we have actually, that are aware of a lot of this stuff, a lot of people aren't even aware that there's these cases out there. And maybe a lot of those people would actually be very, very interested and want to dive into ITC. And maybe those people will eventually discover something that none of us have been able to discover. But the problem is it's been kept on the back burner for so long.
Oh, we having problems. Can you explain what ITC is for the viewers who maybe don't know what it is exactly?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Or do we have a lag?
We hear you. We're just having a lagging problem right now.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So we can still, is it like, so even if the screen goes out, we can still talk? Okay, cool. All right. So I'll let you go first. What, you had a question, Ronnie?
Yeah, I wanted you to just explain to the people what ITC is actually, for people who are watching that don't know.
The last part of that cut out for some reason. I'm not sure.
ITC research. She wants to know what it is.
Can you repeat the last part of that? I can't. There we go. Oh, what ITC is?
Yeah.
What ITC research really is? Really, ITC research is about it's about the study of frequencies. Really, I mean, it encompasses a wide range of different things, but the best way to generalize it is using like some kind of electronic device to communicate with the dead. Now, the way that we do that, I mean, there's a number of different ways that we can do that, using a digital recorder and listening for changes in the frequencies, right? Like when you're playing it back. I mean, really, it's about using the frequencies and to communicate. And there's a number of different ways that you can use those frequencies or different mediums that you can use. A lot of people choose ghost boxes, spirit boxes, EVP. I like to do, but like the ghost boxes are not just limited to a sweeping radio. It could be literally like because one AM or FM is not the only radio bands out there, right? You got shortwave, long wave, CB. You got a number of them, even the VLF and the VHF and the UHF. Like all of these frequencies, because those are within the FM band. So like a lot of people don't know that, but those are the old analog TV frequencies.
Yeah.
But like I shoot, I forgot where I was going with that. Like it's really, yeah. So like so you can even go beyond ghost boxes, right? So you got something like this. This is the IDC lab. Now this, you see how many plugs that has? That's all in and out jacks. And the whole idea is mixing and matching different devices together and looking for audio anomalies, like specific audio anomalies where like it's at a certain point up, like you can record at a number of different points along the circuitry of this device. So you can plug in at this point and then after this circuit and then after this circuit, and you can plug all these recorders in or headphones or whatever. And you can listen to where, because sometimes an anomaly doesn't appear until like the second or third or the fourth jack that you've plugged into, right? And how does that happen? Because the audio source is the first jack, right? So how much does that audio source change from the first jack to, like the fourth or fifth, right? And when you have those jacks every step of the way, that's research. It's literally like trying to find where that manipulation is happening. At least that's what my research is. That's what JW's and KD and Stephen Katie Halte, like all these guys that are really deep into it. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Cool. Thank you.
You know, I've been reading up.
My is more or less like mixing and matching and trying to, you know, experiment with things. So like I'm not really doing the research that a lot of people are doing with like, you know, combing through audio and combing like hours and hours of audio through Ghost. You know, I don't do that necessarily. I'm just exploring new paths and trying to see if something works, right?
And I had seen you had made a video where you created, I think you used it was a Sony Watchman, I believe. I thought it was the coolest thing I ever seen. It was the little TV.
Oh, the TV.
And in that little,
yeah.
Yes. I thought that was the coolest thing. I'm like, oh my God, that is perfect.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, I was kind of taught how to do that. Well, that is a secret that only a few ITC builders know how to do, and it's kind of like very protected. But it's a cool thing because basically you're sweeping those TV frequencies, like the VHF and the UHF, right? So if you're just, it's kind of just like a ghost box, the way it goes back and forth, right? And the cool thing is that the vacuum tube of the TV, the electrons in that get excited of the voltage from the scanning frequencies. Like it converts it to voltage, which excites the electrons and creates the image on the screen. And so that's like, you know, as it's sweeping through the frequencies, the image changes and all the static. But I've even done it to where I've clipped a couple of wires and made it just so it's like a vertical line on the TV screen, and it like reacts to the audio. It's pretty cool. I love experimenting with the TVs. I really do.
You know, it's amazing. I don't see that as much. In fact, I don't think I've seen it at all until you brought it on one of your videos. And then I was like, man, that's something that nobody is experimenting with. We're not using those bands. We're using more AM, FM to get things done. So I'd love to see that really catch on.
Well, the crazy thing is that I'm definitely not the first. Like I'm the latest. Like that's the thing. Like I'm the rookie in a long line of people that have done this. So like, you know, that's what's so crazy. And that's why like I'm trying to bring it to the forefront is because like exactly like you had never seen it before, but I've been seeing it for years. Like I've been watching a number of people do it. KD was the one that taught me how to do it. Well, he didn't teach me per se. He like kind of guided me in the right direction and said, hey, well, look for this and this and this. And it's like, oh, okay. I see what you're talking about. All right. You know, and then I just figured other things out from there, like making the screen width and like making it wonky as shit. Yeah. I figured all that out on my own, but.
Now, let me ask you this. Now, how in the world did you get to work with Nick Groff? I mean, that's just something that didn't just fall in your lap. I'm sure that you know people that knows people, and I mean, I'm very fascinated with this whole thing and how he does things. I believe that Nick is one of the true paranormal investigators out there. There's only a few, it seems, that are not in it for exactly the money.
Right. I always wonder why. See, I wonder about that statement though, and it's nothing against you. It's like one of those things. Like, where's the money exactly? What money do people talk about that they're so like freaking trying to get? Like, there's no money unless you're Zach Bagans. There's no money in this field.
Yes.
I mean, there's enough to like live comfortably, money, like where you're able to pay all your bills and be okay, you know, but it's not like there's nobody making six figures. Let me just tell you that.
Right.
But with Nick, so I have known Nick for a while, Like I had met him, me and my wife met him like back in 2016 or 2017. Like it was right after he was off Ghost Adventures, and he was doing the Nick Groff tour. And we were just like, oh shit, because we were just early, right? So we were just like, oh shit, Nick Groff, right? Is that Bobby Mackey's? Hell yeah, let's go, right? So yeah, and that was my first ever paranormal investigation, by the way. And that was like I had an experience that was so wild, but then we met again. We went to another one in like a year later or something at the Ohio State Reformatory. And then he came out for Paranormal Lockdown. They came out to film at Higginsport School for season 3. It's actually season 3, episode 3. And I got to work with him for 3 days then. And I think really, I mean, I got to give credit to Dan Class, of course. Like he's Nick's production manager and everything. So me and him, I've been good friends with him for a few years. And so he's the one that really kind of set it in motion. But basically Nick and Justin had come out. Justin is his cousin, who's a film guy or the camera guy for the most part. When they came out to one of the locations, junior high school building, I asked him, can I set up a couple experiments for you guys? He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. And then by the end of the night after the experiments, like I think I presented, like, you guys need to have a tech guy, like you need to actually like have somebody that's like, and Justin it was like, yeah, I think that like I really like that idea, Nick. And so I think that the combination of like, Dan's recognition of like all the things that I do and all the resources I have, especially when it comes to like equipment, because I know so many of these builders. I interact with all of them and I'm on good terms with all of them. So like it's easy for me to get, if I can't do it, somebody else it can, right? But also it gives me the opportunity to put other devices. And Nick and Justin really wanted somebody to like just bring something new and exciting to the table, I guess. And like this is like being able to experiment and try different things that you won't see on other TV shows. Like all of the episodes like I'm on 11 episodes in season 4. And like each time I was on site, I set up a crazy experiment. But well, not every time, I guess. There were some times where it wasn't so crazy, but there was a couple that were like, oh shit, right? But yeah, I think it was Nick and Justin kind of trusted me because we've known each other for so long, and then Dan vouched for me, and kind of, it was kind of a number of things, but that's how I got it.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
I remember seeing Nick. I don't know what it was. He was carrying around a geophone or a geoport or something like that. That was like his favorite thing for the longest time. And then I started seeing him doing other things, and I was like, yes, I like where he's going with these different devices.
Yeah, and that's like really been a big thing. Like, and I know he loves that geoport, man. He does. Yes. I mean, it's okay. It's cool. I mean, I know that he's got a connection with it. He really does. But yeah, man, like people kind of get sick of, people not sick of it, but like it would be more exciting if you used other things besides the geoport, and so I think that that's what, like, the element that I bring to it, I guess, is that I have so many different, like, I alone have a collection of like close to 40 ghost boxes. And that doesn't even include, and that's not including all of the other equipment that that I have, like detectors and meters and all that other shit, right? But the ghost boxes that I have are none of them are ones that I built. So like I have a wide variety of different things that I can bring. And then I'm, again, like also working with all the current builders in the field to make sure that I can get their stuff on as well. And I love that, the fact that I have that opportunity to be able to help, my friends and people that I believe are doing innovative things in the community. Yes. And, it's been great. It really has.
Now, you had mentioned that you have I might get this wrong. Like 6 different locations there that you guys use for testing equipment, things like that.
7 locations actually. But it's not necessarily just for testing equipment. We actually, we manage 7 different locations around, 6 in Ohio, 1 in Kentucky, that we open for paranormal investigators and teams to investigate. And all the money goes back into helping the locations, and keeping efforts going with not just restoration, but being able to operate the tours and everything. And then we do our testing. Like I do my testing at the Bryan Jail or Father John's or Middle Point School, or the Village. Honestly, it just depends on where I'm at at the time. But I do my testing. But they're mostly available for the public, and we're trying to bring the history to light, trying to bring these small towns to light, places and towns that nobody in the world would have ever heard of, otherwise. So, which helps with tourism. It helps with a number of different things. It puts like a town that may have some really crazy, interesting history, and like people will come to visit. They'll spend money in the local shops and stay at the local hotels or motels or eat at the local restaurants, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's all good. Like those are good things for a town. But I mean, of course, you got some towns that are very anti-progressive. I guess they're just like, no, we just want to stay the way it is, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of towns, like the towns that we work with, typically are very like they're accepting and welcoming of tourism, I guess.
Yeah. Which brings in money. It brings in revenue for sure.
Yes.
Well, that's money that's what I mean, is like it's money for the local economy, which is always a good thing to city officials. Doesn't matter what you do.
We got our eye on a couple places out here, so
That's cool.
It's a real old mansion. I can't even remember the year of it. It's 1900, I think.
1912, I think, or 1901, one or the other.
And before, by the time we get around to it, the thing will probably be collapsed into a pile of rubble.
But so sad.
The front door's hanging open. It's been hanging open now for I don't know months.
Is
now.
it? Yeah. What the crap?
So.
I know how that is because, like, I mean, we've run a lot. We like the Higgins Sports School, for example, like which is down near Cincinnati. Like we ran that for about 9 months. I mean, the owner was kind of a dick, and he just like did whatever the hell he wanted. Like, just took it away from us over something that like was completely out of our control. Like, so I don't know, but I mean, at this point now, like going back and looking at the place now, because we have to pass it on our way to our Kentucky location. And like, it's such a shame to see like these buildings just like, it's such a beautiful historic building and insanely active. But now like,
I hate when that happens. Yeah.
They're just going to let it sit, or they're going to demolish it or something. And it's like kids break into it every day. The front door is almost wide open. It's like, there's a chain there, but it's like the chain is like that far, like spread so they can open the door that much. It's like, what's it even there for?
Yeah, they can get in there if they're skinny enough. Yeah,
exactly.
Sounds like Crescent. What's going to happen over there?
Oh yeah, Creston. I don't know if you've ever been to Crescent Sanatorium. It's no longer, for the paranormal now, and it's a shame. I don't know the whole story on it. I know that whoever they were leasing the building off of decided they needed money, and it boils down to money, and I understand that. But it's a shame all that history with it, so
right?
Yeah.
I mean, but we got to remember, like, Crescent just like recently came out on the market, and just because, I mean, it's from what I could tell, the buildings were in pretty decent shape for now. Of course, I know how it goes when it's unmaintained. However, to say, I mean, maybe something will happen in the future where they'll be able to open it up again. It's politics a lot of times, unfortunately.
Like if I win the lottery, I'm just going to go
with the lottery.
From what I've heard, I thought it was something like there was somebody who bought the land and like they weren't they didn't want to do the lease the way it was or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that it's a whole messed up situation. But like then you got situations like Waverly Hills for a while, when they were about to lose their building because they gave the ownership is to the historical society because it's all the charity, the nonprofit. I mean, and then the nonprofit, the people get fucking like big headed. And so they think, oh yeah, well, you don't own the building. We own the building because it's in the historical society's name. And so we're the historical society and you're not. So too bad. And try to take the building from under them. And this actually happened with a location that we've been working on out near Cleveland. I can't reveal the name of the location yet. It'll be on season 4 in Deathwalker. But that's what kind of happened. Like he created a charity, the owner did, and got these people locally that were to get on board and be a part of the historical society. Had a president, had the 501(c)(3), but then they tried to take over it.
Yeah.
Like basically they wanted full access to the didn't trust any of them. So it's like, I don't know. There was a whole big thing. And so he backed away from the whole situation. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how it goes with owners and shit. It's sad, but money talks,
It is
I guess.
Yeah.
It does. Is Waverly your Kentucky location that y'all go to?
Is Waverly what?
The Kentucky location, one of y'all's places that you go to? You said you have one in Kentucky.
Yeah, that's actually in Maysville, Kentucky. It's actually near.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know the Blue Collar Paranormal.
Yes,
they have like, Marshall and Jada. They're friends of mine. They've it's actually in Maysville, and so they have a few outside of Maysville. But that's the only one we got in Kentucky, but the rest of them are all in Ohio.
Yeah. And I hope that more of these places, I mean, if I could do a 501, it seems like they're all millionaires or something. I mean,
Right.
holy heck. Waverly, they're getting so much money, but I'm in the wrong business, I think.
Word.
I think, there's, I know that there's ways to do it, a 501(c) to where the people that are working within the 501(c) can somehow take a paycheck or somehow, like there's a way to do it, but it's like, I don't know how to do it. Honestly, I've never thought about going that route. I think doing the charity thing, I mean, it's the right path to do, but again, there's also a lot of limitations with that. Like a lot of people say, oh, well, just go to get government grants or whatever, and that's fine. But the only way you get that money most of the time is that you put up 50% of whatever money they're willing to give. Right. So, well, basically they'll match whatever you put in. Or it depends. It depends on the place, because some of these towns, or like some of these historical societies, they have more money than others. But I know that grants are not usually easy or easy to work with, I guess. Like there's a lot of what do they call stipulations? There's a lot of specific things that you'll need to do, and whether you are willing to or able to do it or not, like that's what they require. So I don't know. There's always different paths, but sometimes it is the right path.
Now, are you working on projects with what's his name? Is it JD?
JW?
Yeah, JW.
JW Printer.
Are you and him collaborating, or is this something that he's doing and he needs your help with?
It's actually something that he's doing and he needs my help with, but he's also we're also collaborating. Like we actually just finished, or we're working on putting out the first collaboration box. I already have it built. It's just he wants certain things. He wants like the stickers and stuff on it, and it's like, that's cool, man, but like I could at least put out like a video or something for people to see it. He's like, no, we gotta wait, So I'm like stuck trying to like, I'm like, it's like sitting right here and I can't do anything with it. It's just like right there. All right. I know. I love the guy to do it though, man. Yes, but me and him are working on stuff together. Yeah, we have been really for like 5 years or something, but like nobody. I mean, I've been working with him for like 5 years.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I see you guys all the time on the pages, and I'm like, oh man, this looks like some really good stuff coming out, and I can't wait to delve into some of that too, because it looks, it's, with the paranormal, you have a lot of blind believers, and then you have people that don't believe at all, and it just becomes a big mess. I've talked to Kenny Biddle. I had Kenny Biddle. We talked, and I love Kenny. He's a good guy. He's very focused on that scientific method. But when is enough with that kind of thing? Because we know the paranormal isn't proven, but where do the voices come from? I mean, if you have an EVP and it comes out of thin air and it's on your recorder, where did it come from?
It doesn't matter a lot of times. I appreciate Kenny Biddle. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the way that he comes across. Because I think that there's but I get where he's coming from, and I appreciate what he does with the Skeptical Inquirer. And honestly, it's because it all depends on everybody's motive. Like what my motive is different than what your motive is when it comes to like why we're in the field, right? And my mission usually is to figure out what we got to do to bridge that gap. What do we have to do to cross the bridge, and then document it? Like I'm one of the guys trying to show Kenny Biddle and change his mind, but I'm not going to do it with any video or audio, or like the only way that the scientific community or the skeptical minded or the non-believers are going to have any chance of believing, like if there's going to be any chance of convincing the scientific community, we're going to have data. We're going to have hard data over a long period of time and go through, what we would normally consider to be the scientific method. And not only that, we would have to have peer review. We would have to, somehow they would have to be able to go back to the same location and recreate it, and get the same data, not necessarily at the same exact times, but get similar data showing there's something going on. It would take so long. But the problem is, we could definitely do it. But nobody is really going to that extent. And I shouldn't say that, because there are people like JW definitely going towards that direction, especially with his Project Worldgate and the Peregrine and all that stuff that he does. And honestly, I'm actually going to be helping him with it too. Like we're going to be doing a documentary in April at the Granary here in Bryan with the Wraith Chaser boys. Nice. Mike, Chris, and Brandon. He's doing the whole Project Worldgate at the Granary. And we're bringing them out for 3 days. We're doing a whole project. Yeah, it's going to be cool. But outside of him, with everything that he does, he's monitoring everything. And he's even getting EEG headsets to literally monitor all the participants' brain waves and have sensors and everything. That is what we need, although we need to have it over a long period of time. But there's nobody else even going that far. You know what I mean? Nobody is putting that much effort and money. I mean, there may be a few organizations out there that are doing, like universities. I know there's some universities that are doing a lot of work with that, with different things within the field. But the problem is that it's most of it is in a lab. And that's the hard part, is because labs aren't necessarily where you're going to find ghosts. I mean, unless you go to, like, I don't know, maybe you find a lab that's haunted that was, you know, I mean, I don't know. But I think that there's just not enough like actual effort being put into, because that's why I say I agree with what Kenny's saying a lot of times, is because like a lot of it is just the same crap returned out.
Yes.
He's definitely not wrong. And that's why I appreciate him and his fellow colleagues that are also that, like, I wanted to go on his podcast. Like, I asked him if I could come on, and I was challenged, and I mean, I give it to him. There were times where I was like, damn, he's right. But I hope that I made them at least think a little bit, like consider things. But we need people like Kenny Biddle to challenge us, and like it's gonna take overcoming guys like him in order for it to be accepted. And
Yes.
a lot of people have their reasons for being in it, but one of my reasons is to be able to make him question what it is, right?
Yes. And that's that's funny, because talking to Kenny, and he does get you to rethink what you're talking about. But we had talked about how would we be able to really prove anything in the paranormal. If you was at a location, you would have to have the whole thing with video and audio, and even above, you'd have to have like drones just hovering over there to try to get it's so mind-blowing, the things that you would need to do. But I definitely get it, because I see a lot of people with the little blinking lights, and they're like, oh, that's a ghost, and we know that's not the case.
Right. But like, see, I think that like we're holding ourselves back though, and that's the problem. Like I wish that instead of Kenny, like, for instance, I wish that Kenny Biddle and others like him would, instead of, and I appreciate the challenge is that he puts out there. And I know he's not like saying, I challenge you, he's not doing that, but it's,
Right.
I wish that he would take the same energy that he has in his skeptical, like challenge of these things, and maybe try to go past all of these things that are so common in the field, and really try to like, I guess maybe not him, but like anybody that like, just try to put that into the research, like go beyond, like, if that's all bullshit, that's fine. Like, you can say that, but then, I mean, what are you doing? You're just being a critic. And I mean, I don't know. I'm indifferent about it. I like Kenny because I like what he does. And I wish that he would be willing to, go back and start researching beyond what everybody else is, because I know he's smart as hell, and I know his colleagues are really smart, very well educated, these guys. And like, with that knowledge and the resources that they have, you would think that they could take something to the next level, like really go in with everything that they would possibly need and be able to objectively experiment and go through the processes, right? Like, those would be the guys that you would want to do it.
Yes. That's a really good idea. And Kenny should do something like that, where they take this knowledge and they put it into the haunted sectors of our field, and
I want them to show us how to do it.
Yes.
Like, I want him to, because I know that they are, like, that's why I love the fact that they're very well educated in all of this. Like, they could look at it and find the flaws in the system, but how could you if you guys were to do it, how would you do it? Because that's like the kind of education that a lot of us as investigators and researchers in this field need.
Yes.
And I appreciate Kenny. I just hope that someday, Kenny, if you're listening, man,
Right?
you guys would be the ones to do it.
I think it's a fantastic idea. I really hope that he's listening or watching, and he takes that into consideration, because he does go to a lot of places. He talks to a lot of people.
Yeah, I saw him at the Deathwalker premiere, the Deathwalker season 4 premiere in New York.
Yes.
I did see him there. I was like, damn, Kenny, what? you know, and then he kind of said something about the show still just being another cookie cutter thing. And I was like, well, I realized I shouldn't, like, you can't win with Kenny Biddle. So you just gotta, especially like, I didn't like, that was a bad idea for me to go to Kenny Biddle and ask for his opinion on a paranormal show that I'm on. Doesn't matter. It's a paranormal show. You know what I mean? It's sometimes if it's a paranormal show, some people are just never happy. It's just it's a paranormal show, right?
Right. Well, and it depends on the paranormal show. Some of these shows are just ridiculous. But
Right.
if you have good people like Nick who wants to advance the paranormal field, instead of saying everything's haunted and demonic, I'm for it. We are big fans of Amy and Adam.
Yes.
With Kindred Spirits. There's another crew that they take their knowledge and they put it to a better use, instead of saying everything's demonic, and they'll be one of the first to say, hey, look, let's not say demonic unless we can actually verify that it is demonic.
Yeah, they're respectable. They're
Yes.
respectable.
Yes,
they're a
they
respectable team, and that's we definitely need a lot more of that in the field. Definitely need a lot more of those guys. But I mean, it was even Nick there. Nick was there, and so I know it didn't matter who was on the show or what the show was about. It doesn't matter to Kenny, but it's all good. I still like the guy. I still respect him.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, and like you said before, we do need these guys, because that's gonna keep the honest people honest. I mean, anybody.
But I also think it's like, it's not just keeping us honest, but it's also like almost motivation for guys like me, guys like who are real people that are doing doing real research. Like, it's motivation to like those are the guys we need to overcome. Like, you talk about any kind of sport, right? Like, you watch football. Like, a lot of people will talk about you need to be able to beat the good teams if you're going to be a championship team.
Yes.
And so, like, I mean, you got to be able to overcome these things. But that's just my motivation, of course.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. And I don't see enough of people with motivation anymore. I think that maybe a lot of good people have just been beaten down because it's became a thing of likes, ratings, followers. I think that people like myself and people like you who's doing this legitimate research and trying to keep it old school, how we used to do it. But now there's so much faking and this artificial intelligence stuff now that you can just tell it what to make, and it's going to create these weird pictures, and people are going to be like, yeah, well, you can't prove that that's not, so.
Well, I guess, and I've talked about this a lot in the past too. I think that, the fakery and all that stuff is out there. There's always going to be charlatans and fakes out there. Like, that's, but I guess I don't think that the content creators and influencers are really the big problem. Like, and a lot of people think that they make us look bad. And I think they only make us look bad if we react to it if we take it seriously.
Sure.
The field as a community, like as a whole, is taking that seriously, and we really should not. It's basically causing our community to like basically almost try to be an exclusive club. Like now you're like kicking people out and like, and I get it. I definitely agree with the reasoning. But I think that those content creators are actually more helpful to the field than unhelpful, and only because they're the ones that are showing they're the ones that are influencing the next generation of ghost hunters. And because like people are moving away from paranormal TV shows, it's all going to YouTube or streaming services, and this next generation is all watching these guys. Like that's what they're doing. And so I'm the type of guy that's thinking, well, man, why don't we utilize that? Why not utilize that? Like I like Kalani. I like CJ Faison. I like fucking Corbin Bentley. I like a lot of these guys because of how much, I like them because they're great guys, obviously. But they also have a lot of reach. They have a huge influence on the younger generations that watch their shit, especially like, guys like Kalani. He has like 2.5 million followers on TikTok.
Yes.
You know who TikTok? Teenagers.
Yeah.
Teenagers watch TikTok. I mean, there's obviously others, but like the majority of the people on TikTok are teenagers.
Mhm.
And so that's the next generation, guys. And if we're like shunning their heroes right off the bat, like that's not good. Like they're not going to want to come in and actually learn, actually really dive into what the field is about. So I think it's more or less we just got to like educate and not attack. Like, and that's a huge problem, is that we're so like quick to jump and like mob pitchforks and everything and torches, right? Like we're so ready to jump on these guys instead of like, and after talking to a lot of these guys, I realize most of them don't really know what the fuck they're doing. Like they don't know about a lot of stuff that's like genuine within the community, and a lot of them are into it too. Like they want to see it, they think it's cool as shit. And so like I'm just like, here, go, like here, use it, take it, but I mean I feel like it's just not fair to some of those guys. Like there are some, of course they are in it for the money again, but we go back to like, where's the money? Like what money?
Show me the money.
Because I'm telling you, if I was making that kind of money, you wouldn't be seeing me over at some Paracon, I'd be like in Bahamas somewhere.
Right. Go to Ireland.
Right. Right. But I do know that Kalani and his wife have like have like a photography. They do like wedding photography and like stuff like that too. So they actually apparently their work is as good as like really good. So like they get hired by these rich people that will fly them out to wherever their wedding is, and that could be a resort destination, right? And they'll fly him and his wife out. They'll give him a room for a week and just say, here, from start to finish, just take photos. So they'll spend a few hours every day, like with people taking photos and shit. But they get the vacations, they get paid to do that, and then
that's awesome.
So like, there's a lot, they're still doing another job too, but there's not like, what money, man? What fucking money is there? So I love when people are like rich and famous. Like,
yes.
Always rich and fame is relative. Because even Zach Bagans, would you consider Zach Bagans an A-list celebrity?
No,
maybe a B. He's probably a B.
Yeah,
I would say like I'm like J or K. You know what I mean? Like we're way we start going way down, right?
And Zach, if I get away from everything's demonic and evil, he's a businessman. He knows how to, he knows fear sells, and he knows exactly how that field, that entertainment industry works for him. So yeah.
I mean, I gotta be careful what I say, but like I think that there's things that he's definitely taken advantage of, situations that he's taken advantage of. I mean, regardless of who he had to step on to get there. He's become he's smart in the sense of keeping his circle very small and keeping everybody quiet about what they do or, you know, whatever. Like and I mean, he definitely is a dick to like everybody, but I mean, the thing is, when you have the empire that he's created, and I mean, I mean, he didn't create it, first of all. Let me backtrack there. But when you have the empire that he has, I mean, he can do what he wants. But like, he's been on the air for like 24 or 25 straight seasons. Like, it's the Discovery Network's longest running. It's one of the longest running shows that they have, and so like, you know, it's hard to. It just sucks that that he is the way that he is, because Ghost Adventures obviously was an inspiration to most of the field. Some of the people in the field are real like the old veterans, the people that have been in it for 20, 30 years, 40 years sometimes. You know, they were there before. There's very few of those guys. But then there were the ghost hunters and you know, like MTV's Fear, and like there's these other shows that they had, that Paranormal State too was a big one. But then Ghost Adventures made it cool. Ghost Adventures made the shit cool, and like but now, you know, the way that he's taken it has been really, like it's all about suspense and dramatization, and knowing it's and over dramatizing your reactions, no matter what you're getting. I mean, you may be getting nothing, but the episodes that you see him getting nothing, like the episodes that you see them talking about how like the feelings that they're getting, or like getting angry or getting, you know, those are the episodes where they're just not getting shit. Those are the episodes they're just not getting shit. And that's right. But like, they make it work somehow. You know, I mean, there's a devout following to them.
Yes, there is.
And it's hard. I feel bad for I don't like the way that it went down with him and Nick, and like that whole thing. But that is not, of course, that's not my beef. That's not my thing. But like, if I'm gonna pick a side, of course I'm picking Nick. Like, I mean, I have to, right? But you know, I can appreciate what Ghost Adventures has done for myself, for many of the field. But like, yeah, I mean, I think now the field is way more expansive, and it's getting into the YouTube and all this shit. And we just got to make sure that we utilize that for good and not to attack others. Because when we attack, like, I think that when we attack these content creators, that does not make us look good. No. It doesn't make us all that enticing to come in, and we're not welcoming anybody to the community. Like, or at least from an outside perspective, it's like, oh, well, if they don't like this guy, then I don't even want to go. You know, I don't want to even mess with these people. But I mean, yeah, you'll get the few, but
yeah. And you know, I like a lot of these YouTube things, these creators that are coming out now. I really enjoy what they're doing. The ones that I can't stand are the ones that are obvious. You know, you see the deer in the headlight look on their picture. It's like they've seen something, you know, that clickbait. You know what I mean? I hate that. I mean, just get into, if you're going to do it the best that you can. Urban exploring, that's awesome. I don't mind any of that, but
I will say that, and Kalani made a statement too, that I mean, it's marketing, man. You know what? Whatever it is, it's marketing, and we cannot judge, because like, to say it's basically their version of all of the commercials that we ever see on TV. Like, they're making it look flashy and exciting, and like, we want to watch this, or we want to see this product. Like, you know, they do trailers. Anybody that does any content creation, doesn't matter if you're doing it right or wrong, when you put out the trailer, you're doing it to make it look, holy shit, we got to watch this, right?
Right.
Exactly. Like, and so with YouTube, there's thousands of videos and shit, and, you know, thousands, millions probably, millions of videos out there. You know, how do you separate yourself? Well, you got to make it look exciting, and that's apparently what is drawing in clicks, and you do what you got to do. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the video is representative of what the click the poster image is or whatever.
And that's true. I mean, I think it's just because I'm old, and now I see these these younger guys doing this, and I'm like, oh, come on, you know.
They're
But
just being smart with the marketing, man, and that's what you
Yeah,
got to do when you're
exactly.
doing that. And I know that a lot of people hate it. You know, I get that, but like I learned that early on, like with CJ, when CJ Faison was doing it, like some of the YouTube videos that he had out there of my locations were even like school so haunted they shut its doors forever. Like, yeah, I don't know if that's really that's definitely not why they shut their doors forever, but if that's what but like when you watch the video, you realize like, okay, that's not really what happened. And then he goes into the whole like reality of it and what they're about to be doing.
right.
And so, and I've been on site with them, like I've investigated with them, I've investigated with all of them. And like I see how they investigate. And so like some of the things that people say, I'm kind of like, really? I don't know if he would do that necessarily, but
Right.
like he investigates just like seemingly just like any of us. Just like any of us. Like I didn't see anything that would even indicate trickery.
Right.
Trickery.
Yeah, it's just I guess it depends on 'cause like I said, I guess it's just because I'm old. I see that stuff and I'm like, oh, come on. I start thinking of
You
Ghost
are pretty
Adventures.
old. He is pretty old, y'all.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with content creators. Absolutely not.
No.
The ones that I have the issue with is more the fakers and the and things like that. And you know, like you said, and you was perfectly correct. I mean, you're going to have that in any field. It doesn't matter what it could be the medical field. It could be whatever, you know. Go back into the 1800s with the snake oils and all this stuff. You're always going to have something.
Exactly.
So, Austin, what do you have? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's like a job interview question right there.
I mean, with ITC research, you know, where it's heading, things like that. I mean, I know that you're always constantly creating and building new things and innovative things. You know, I see.
That's why it's hard for me to say, like, where do I see myself in 5 years? Like, I don't know where it's going to take me. Like, it's just like one thing could trigger a whole new direction of like that I'm going to go in. And so, like, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Absolutely. Do you have plans for like maybe your own documentary type of things with ITC work?
The only thing that I'm planning on doing documentary wise is this one that we're doing in April covering JW's experiment. And I mean, I definitely do not want to put any content creator, like I'm not trying to bash any of this, but I don't necessarily believe that content creation is necessarily beneficial to the paranormal field. Like when it comes to the research or the advancement or the, you know, just any of that. I think that content creation is it's very popular. Like everybody wants to be a producer and they want to be, you know, be able to put out these great videos. But like, you know, you look at 99% of them are covering like something that's been done 1,000 times, first of all.
Yes.
And second of all, like it's just the same people, different, or it's like the same thing, different faces.
Yes.
Like they're not going in there really, like, you know, even some of these new ones that came out, that it ends up always just being the same shit. Like there's nothing exciting about it. And so I feel like my efforts are better like focused on not doing that. Like doing something, I guess that's like I'm actually going to dive into like the study and like try to figure out how can we improve the study, how can we improve the research aspect of it. And I mean, but that's just me. You know, I personally don't feel like I need to put out content in order for people to like it's not necessarily what I'm trying to do, you know. And right. I guess that's, I've always looked at like people that do like the documentaries and do a lot of that stuff. I mean, it's I mean, in one way or another, it's attention seeking in some way. Like, I don't like to promote myself. Like, I don't like to promote, like, I want to promote the work. I want to promote the things that are being done. Like, and if that's something that I did, like, that's great. But like, I'm not going to promote, like, you won't see me putting my face on a poster. Like, you know, like, I'm not going to do that because like, it's, I don't care. Like, I'm not trying to make myself big. Like, I don't care about that, you know, so that's just me.
Now, and I understand, and this is probably where I wasn't thinking when I just mentioned about a documentary, because what you do is it's a, I don't want to say it's a top secret thing, but it is very secretive because of the things that you do to manipulate these devices and the experiments that you come up with to make them do what they do. So it wouldn't be easy for someone like you to make some kind of documentary, because then you'd have to show exactly what you're doing as you're creating something, and then that leads to some of your secrets, and we don't want to see that.
Well, there's not, I mean, it's not really much secrecy as much as it is like a matter of understanding and like not like understanding the whole process. And it's not just like something that you can teach somebody in a day. Like, it's a whole, like, I had to figure a lot of things out on my own, and I also had a lot of help from others, but like, it took me a long time. Like, I'm in my second year and I'm still learning. Like, and I'm always going to be learning. We're always figuring things out. There are things that, like, you know, I'm still trying to like I'm just now finding out about certain things that I'm discovering, I guess, that I'm learning. No, don't do that. Or, you know, because it's going to fry this or fry that. It's like, oh,
Yes.
okay, don't do that. And so, like, it's not necessarily a secret. Like, anybody can open up my boxes, and like, in a lot of my boxes, you actually do have to open them up in order to put the battery in. But, so like, I don't hide it necessarily. I just don't. I mean, if somebody were to one day want to do a documentary about ITC research and building, like, that would be awesome. But I will not be the one to like put it all together like that. That's not. I'm not a producer. I'm not a storyteller. I don't like, and that's why even on the show, like, I don't get on camera a whole lot. I'm not investigating. Because like, my job is to do this. My job is to be the tech guy. Like, I set up the experiments, I explain them on camera. But like, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need to be on camera. I don't care. It's not about that.
That's all I'm saying. That's what I was saying.
Well, you got to be on camera for this.
He's making me do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I told you, put a hoodie on. You can
Whatever.
But no, you know what? I thank you so much for coming on our show and talking a little bit about the things that you do, and talking about content creation and things of that nature. I think that you know, it opens my minds up a little bit more, because I look at things one way, and having people like you on, I get to get your opinions and things too. And that's very helpful in our community, because yes, I can be, maybe today I was having a bad day and I'm like, look, everybody that's creating stuff out there and using these devices saying they're ghosts are full of crap. So it's good to have the other opinions and see what they're thinking too, because I really believe in this field, and I have since I was young. I've been doing this for close to 30 years. And I think that's where it's the pride in the field. And I get very vocal sometimes about it, because it's just like, look, we know that this little piece of dust that you caught on the camera is not a ghost. We know that face, we know that the face in that piece of dust is not great grandma.
Right.
You know, right. And I think it's just, you see it so much that I do need to really go above that now. It's just, it's not easy to do.
Well, dude, it's so, like, so many people have that problem, and it's hard to, like, when you're in it, you know, you just, because you're emotional about it, and I'm passionate about the field too. And so there's not, like, I don't take away anything from anybody with that. I understand they're passionate, and that's right. It's good. But I think that there's more constructive ways that we can handle a lot of these situations to where we actually can improve the field, instead of, you know, trying to make it seem like, you know, like, oh, don't fuck up. You don't want to go in those because they're gonna attack you if you do anything that you don't know. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't want us to be, I mean, granted, you're gonna have those people that will argue with you regardless. And you don't have to educate everybody, of course. You're not going to be able to. But if there are some newbies that are like, you know, they watch these guys on YouTube or whatever, and they are very interested in doing more and stuff like that, those are the people that you want to educate. Like, those are the people that, like, you can say, like, okay, I mean, well, what he did here was wrong. You know, he shouldn't have necessarily did it that way. But, you know, and you try to put it in terms, it's perspective, you know, you got to put it in the right perspective. And I think that as long as we are continuously trying to educate, especially with this next generation coming in, man, like, they're the ones that are looking up to the people that we are bashing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And attacking. And, like, I think that we hold ourselves back, and honestly, I think that makes us look worse than any of these content creators can make us look. Like, you don't look. I mean, the scientific community is very, you know, they have very different opinions among scientists, but you won't see them openly like attacking another scientist, because their time and focus is spent more on the actual work rather than what the other scientists are doing. And so that is a big thing, is, like, you know, if everybody in the field would focus more on, like, the work and not necessarily like what other people in the field are doing, like, that would eliminate a lot of it.
Yes.
But people like to be social, and people like to go online and, you know, look at all these posts, and, like, it gets them all angry and shit, you know, it's like, but, like, okay, so how do we limit that? Well, you know, stop paying attention to what these guys are doing on YouTube. Like, just stop paying attention to it. Just focus on what you love to do. Focus on your passion, which is always, for most part, is investigating and finding answers and doing this. Like, the whole paranormal field does this because they're passionate about it.
Yes.
And as long as we as investigators and teams are focused on what's important, which is the research, the communication, like, if we focus on that, then others will follow. But like, when we start attacking and doing that, of course, others will follow as well.
Right.
So how are we going to push the group? How are we going to move the group forward towards more true para-unity? Even though I don't think that as a concept, it's a great concept, but it doesn't exist in reality.
Yes.
Because people just can't get along, and there's always going to be different opinions. But para-unity, in my opinion, is just everybody doing their own thing and not attacking others, like, for not doing it the way that they want to do it or the way that they view it. Unless asked for your opinion, like, you know, I don't know. I'm old school though. If somebody doesn't ask me for their opinion on something, like, I'm not gonna. I tend to avoid it unless they ask me. If they ask me, then I will give it. But, like, I'm not just gonna, you know, start some shit on somebody's post.
Right.
I don't like that.
And, you know, and it's funny because, you know, I step back a little bit from, we used to do, years ago, we used to do a lot of lectures and things like that. And I kind of shied away from it because, you know, I'll hear things that people were saying about me, and I'm like, well, you know, this is how I did it, and now I get a complex, and I'm like, well, you know, I might as well just not say nothing, you know. Complex. And I love to teach. That's the thing.
I know, but like, that's part of, you know, just constantly taking feedback constructively instead of taking it and arguing about it. Like, if somebody felt this way, then there are probably others that feel this way. And so how can you improve? Like, how can you make it so that nobody feels like, or like, and that's just not necessarily with your teaching, but it's also with like your process, the way that you do things in your investigations. I mean, and I think anything can work, but I'm always objectively, I view it all objectively. So like, how can it work? Like, what can we do with this to make it work as far as like, like, how can we do it? Like, okay, for instance, dowsing rods. People love the dowsing rods. Very hard to buy into them because of the natural sway that people have when they're trying to stand still. You're not perfectly still. So what if we had a tripod that had holders, like little rings that would hold the dowsing rods, and the people could still make the physical connection underneath the dowsing rods, because that plays an aspect into it too. But they're level. They're like held perfectly still. And then something happens. Then it's like, oh shit. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
More pendulums are the same way. Sorry.
Yeah.
Hold on. There we go. Pendulums are exactly the same way. Like if you were to just have a stand that had the pendulum there and it's only like a foot long or something, because everybody knows, like, I don't know, in grade school, I used to learn that if you hang a pendulum from the ceiling and put it in sand, eventually it's going to be swinging around and around just because of the Earth's rotation.
Yes.
But like, you got to limit that. Obviously, the smaller it goes, and it's, yeah.
It's just another piece of the paranormal puzzle.
Yes.
And then we're finding new pieces every day.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Austin, I thank you so much for coming on. I learned a great deal.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I hope that that your ITC research continues to thrive out there. That's just more that I would like to see. I see these incredible devices that you make, and I'm like, that's what I want to see. When I look at somebody's content creators, if you're watching, whenever I see these new devices, that is exactly what I'm looking for. I want to see boundaries being broken. Yeah. Nick, if you're listening out there, put the Geo phone down,
Oh, don't pick on him. That's his favorite.
No, I don't have.
Well, I appreciate that big time. And anybody else that's interested in learning, like finding out more, don't just look through my stuff. Like, look through Supernatural Inc., like KD Stafford. Look at Stephen Katie Halte Paranormal. Look at JW Prather, IDC Devices. And I mean, there's so many others, Dimension Devices, Ghost Gear, Paranormal 6. I mean, there's a number of different equipment builders, tech builders out there, not just ITC, but just other things that, that they're doing great work. And, like, those people really, like, especially the Haltes, KD Stafford, and JW, like, these people have been doing this long before I have, especially Stephen Katie shit. They've been in it since the beginning. Those people really have done great work, and I'm just, like I said, I'm the rookie here, so definitely check out their stuff too.
Now, if someone wants to see what kind of work you do, where do they go?
Right now you can find me on Facebook, or I guess I have a YouTube channel, but it's mostly just my builds. My personal Facebook page, or the Underground Paranormal Network Facebook page. And I think it's facebook.com/the UGPN. And then on Instagram, it's _UGPN.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Austin, thank you so much. And we wish you the best of luck, and have a wonderful evening.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's right.
New Year. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
All right.
Good
Take
night.
care now. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Well, how about that? That was interesting.
Yes, it was. I learned stuff.
You know what I really like Austin. I've seen a lot of his stuff, and I got very, when I see these guys and what they do, it makes me wish I could do something like that.
Yeah.
I'm
But
just,
you are kind of a nerd. So.
yeah, but I'm not that, that's like I'm not that kind of smart. Like, I can fix stuff and
Whatever, you're my
computers.
techie guy.
But he knows these guys that do these things, man, they know about
I
it.
know, right?
And then they go,
Super smart.
yes. And then what they're doing is they're taking their equipment that they're making, and they're taking it and they're putting it through the paces someplace, so they can tweak it if need be.
He's got the places he says that they go to.
Yes,
to do
it's-
these things. That's
yes,
awesome.
yes, it's
So,
very, very interesting, and I'm very glad we had him on.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that was a very good show,
I think so too. High five.
and we will see everybody the next time.
Yes. Happy New
Thank
Year,
you.
people.